It's not unusual to want to play some audio or sound effects in a program, particularly in a game. And so I'm going to show you the simplest way to include audio in your application. The first step is to add a new item to your project, and we're going to go to the General section of the Add New Item dialog, choose Resource File, and give it a name. I named mine audio.resx. RESX is the extension for a resource file in Visual Basic. Then I'm going to go into that file, and in the drop down on the far left, I'm going to choose audio. The default is string. You can also add images. I'm going to choose audio and then click the Add Resource, and I can go out and find audio files that I want to include. Now, Visual Basic only supports WAV files in this method. There are ways to convert things like MP3s into WAV files using other programs such as Adobe Media Encoder. Then for our code, all we're going to do is create a sound variable. I used my sound as an unmanaged memory stream, and we can then say equals my.resources dot the name of our resource file, audio, and then the file that I want to play without the extension, so cat meow. And then that's going to create that variable for the sound, and then to play it, it's My.Computer.Audio.Play, and in parentheses the sound I want to play, my sound, and then the play mode. And we have three options here: background, which just plays it in the background; background loop, which will keep playing the sound over and over again until we stop it; and then the third option is audio play mode dot wait until complete. So it will pause the execution of any code after this until the audio file has completed playing. In most cases, you probably want to use background. Let's look at an example. I created an application with several buttons that play different sounds. Here's the cat, dog bark, drum roll, or we could play a full song. And rather than let this play out, I put a stop button. Let's take a look at the code for doing this. The code is very straightforward. So here's my cat audio button. I'm going to create a sound as an unmanaged memory stream. It's going to equal my.resources.audio cat meow. Here's the dog bark. Doing the same thing with Doberman bark single is the name of my audio file. Once I've created that file, I can then play it. So My.Computer.Audio.Play, my sound.audio play mode.background. Now, as I mentioned, there are three different options here. So in the IntelliSense, you're going to see background, background loop, and wait to complete. In most cases, we want to use background. The drum roll, same thing. My file is named drum_roll. For the make my day music, it's myresources.audio make my day. And then to stop the sound from playing, that little stop button, the code is my.computer.audio.stop. Let me show you another example. This is a much more involved project that took me most of a weekend to do in creating all the graphics and recording all the audio. So you'll see that in the audio files, there's a lot of audio. I did an audio file for each key of the keyboard so that the user can press a key, middle C. Let's do a D5. And then I created graphics to show what each key is on the treble or bass clef. And we can choose to look at only the major notes, or all the sharps with it, or just the flats, or all the notes together, showing both flats and sharps where they overlap. I also wanted to create a guitar tuning off the piano keyboard. And then finally I added a practice section where a note is randomly pulled from some graphics that are resources as well as the audio, and displays the image of a note on the staff. And the user can choose to show only major notes, or maybe they want to work on just their flats, or their sharps, or a combination thereof. It's going to show the note, and then they're asked to press the key, and it'll play the sound if it's correct. If it's incorrect, I'll do another one here. So maybe rather than a B flat, they press the B3. And they get a little thump sound that didn't work. They can try it again and get their score. Again, it's going to keep track of their score, how many they got correct out of how many. And they can reset that score. Let's take a look at the code. So here's my resource file with all the audio in it. So notice there's a wave file for each key. Now I only did wave files for the sharps because the flats are exactly the same. But if I'm using a flat designation, I have to convert it into what that sharp was. Here's my code. And so this is a little more involved. I'm creating some lists that we have not yet talked about. So this goes a little beyond what we've already looked at. But I just want you to focus in on how the sound is played. In that I am creating a sound from my resources.audio. And I'm using the resource manager.get object. And all of my sounds are called piano underscore and the name of the note. So here we have $. So we're doing an interpolated string of piano underscore and what the note is. And the note is the label on the key. And if it's both a sharp and a flat, I take just the first 3 letters of that. So it would be the sharp. And that's the note I would play. I could have alternatively used a very long select case structure for each button of the keyboard, but this is a much more efficient way of doing it, of getting the note from the object using the resource manager of the resource. Again, this goes a little beyond the where we're at in this course at this time, but I wanted to show you how this was done. Now you notice that there is a key status here. So that key status is test. We're going to determine if they're in that practice session in which we want to make sure that they press the right note. Otherwise, we're just going to play the note. So if they get it wrong, we're going to set the sound to the thud, give them some negative feedback, and then play the sound, whether it's correct or incorrect, depending on the if-else structure. If, however, we're not in the test session, then all we're going to do is we're going to play the note. A bit more advanced example, but I wanted to show how you could pull the audio from the name using resource manager.get object. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the Programming Practicum playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos I create, you can click my picture in the top right to subscribe to the channel.